Hello, everybody. It's the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Welcome to What Do You Want to Talk About, a Fanatics and WWE original production. Today, my guest is a guest we have wanted for a long time, all of us. He is a former Minnesota State wrestling champion. He won the 2012 Olympic trials. He has been an NXT Tag Team Champion, a Raw Tag Team Champion, and he has been on the minds of pretty much every wrestling fan, everybody involved in wrestling, everybody involved in WWE, spanning over multiple locker rooms. Everywhere you go, everyone is talking about this guy, and we welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Chad Gable.
Wow.
I'm sorry if I'm a little bit rusty.
That was great.
It's been a minute.
It was incredible.
I
fooled me.
I am excited at the idea that I got to mention you being a Minnesota State wrestling champion, and you'd be classified as wrestlers go. And tell me, correct me, because there's other qualifications, but shooter, right? We would say shooter.
We would say shooter.
What's the difference between a shooter and a hooker? And that's going to sound like a funny question, but there are people in this who know that hooker was a different thing than a shooter, correct?
I mean, my assumption is that the shooter, I am the most real deal of the real deals.
Yeah.
Like hooker might be someone that knows the game, but a shooter you're in trouble, man.
I think we're gonna phone in a friend here on this, but I think you're on it. Shooter is all encompassing.
Yeah.
Hooker is lure them in
Yep.
and hook them with something, some sort of Gerald Briscoe,
Sure.
who was probably a shooter, but was a Ben. I feel you know this answer. Phoning in a friend.
Oh.
But did Luthez call himself a hooker because in case this went awry, in case this performance, he could rely on his skills as a shooter? For all of I have never once mentioned this, but for all of the Cauliflower Alley Club, all the people out there, if you know the answer to that, I was taught it as a young man and forgot because it seemed like it was more important if you were going to be either to be a shooter, because you could do it all. And as a shooter, do you know this? You've been mentioned on this show multiple times.
I've heard it once or twice.
Yeah.
I watched the Finn episode. Finn is my guy, one of my guys.
Did he put you on his team at the end?
I was on his team, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to hear that.
That, whenever someone is brought up who has the skills,
Yeah.
that's a great, like, well, your team's going to go undefeated. There's, that also leaves you less to do.
Sure.
If you're on that team, like, oh, he's got him. He's got him. I see you have something special in front of you, provided by our friends Wheatley American Vodka, who we love here. What do you got?
Cody, today we are drinking a Chaos Theory.
Oh,
Yeah.
What do you know about it?
Main ingredient, of course, Wheatley vodka.
There it is.
Tasted a hint of lemonade.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is it good?
And some
Cheers to you, man.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Thank you for being here.
blue curacao.
Ooh, all righty. We will put those ingredients on the screen. Again, Wheatley American Vodka. I have the classic American Mule. Chef's kiss,
Thanks
as
for that.
always. Hey, so I'm going to cut right to it.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes on this show we beat around the bush, and I don't want to beat around the bush. Let's not beat around the bush in here, right?
Jump right in, man.
Let's jump right in. There are moments in pro wrestling, as a wrestler, as a fan, as anyone who works for any wrestling company anywhere on earth, there are moments where we all agree on one thing. They are very rare. They are maybe once a year if we're lucky, twice a year if everything is hot. We're talking the purist, the hardcore fans. We're talking the casual fan. We're talking a designation of fans you don't even know existed. We're talking someone who walked in for the first time and wrestling was happening in the ring. We're talking people who just stream. We're talking people on social. We're talking people in the seats who paid to be there, who buy the merch. Every type of fan. El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano. I'm sure I was one of hundreds who texted you or reached out and just said, genuinely inspiring.
Yeah.
You guys had us. And I am asking because I want to know, as far as in the moment, did you feel like everyone in the world, you remember Jim Ross, he used to say,
Sure.
The world's watching.
Yeah.
Did you feel that everyone was watching? Did you know something magical was happening?
By the end, I knew. Going into it, I had high hopes.
Dude, hey, that's a good answer, by the way. Cheers.
Yeah.
By the end, I knew. Fucking Chad, baby.
Cheers.
Chad is here, dude.
Going into it, I had high expectations,
Yeah.
but I can certainly say it delivered beyond those.
Yeah.
You know, I went to art school, and like we were always taught, like you can have like critical acclaim, or you know, you can have commercial success. You don't really always get everything. You know, you can't always have it all.
Yeah.
Very few people get that. You know, we're talking like Scorsese and people like that direct these epic movies. So to have that kind of match where it was not only critically, but you know, it was praised by everybody I talked to, and like to a point where it made me uncomfortable. Like I don't seek that kind of thing, but I talked to so many people, and then they would talk to me in person, and I would be like sweating because I'm like, I can't deal with this. It's like too much. People were being so complimentary, but it was nice to hear it from my peers, the people that I value their opinions and seek their respect, you know, above all else.
Yeah.
And to hear some of my peers say that match reminded them what they love about wrestling and what made them fall in love with it was just one of the most like humbling and just like gratifying things to hear about it all. So
I heard the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, say one time, the good stuff.
yeah.
And we, because of the performative nature of what we do, we're going to always tell you it's the good stuff. And we might be close, we might be right, but then there's those that are undeniably the good stuff.
Right.
And this was the good stuff. You said you knew by the end.
Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned art school, which I want to ask about. Howard Fine, my acting coach, he literally used to say, the door to commercial success is, you know, this wide, guys. The door to artistic success is, and to do them both.
Sure.
And if you saw Harrison Ford recently, his speech about being able to make entertainment and make a living at the same time, to make art, to do them all is probably the most difficult thing.
Sure.
And you guys, you did it. Here's something I noticed about it, okay?
Okay.
I have followed AAA for a long time. And now that The Undertaker is involved with AAA, it's even more available, especially working at WWE, seeing it more frequently. And it's a partner.
Sure.
And Borash, we're going to talk about them all, the JB, the whole deal. But I still didn't know all the nuances and the characters and everyone involved in this. You know, there's run-ins, and yet I was so excited at everything. I was popping for things that if you had asked me, like, who's that? I don't know. These people are losing their mind, which is the good stuff. But why did you feel like at the end? Did you get through? I get to a place in matches where I don't know if you're like this, but I get to a place in matches where I'll tell myself one more thing, just can't F this one thing up, and we're good. We're home.
Yeah.
We're home. Was that the feeling?
It was close to that. I think it was more, there was a moment right towards the end, and we were there. We were there. The rest was cakewalk.
Yeah.
And I saw the blood dripping down from my head, and I looked around at the mat, and it was just soaked. And I heard the people, and there was that quiet, almost quiet calm that they were ready for it.
Yeah.
They were ready for the crescendo. And when I felt that, it was like, we did it. We're there. We created the magic that like so many people have told me about over the years that's possible to create, and that I've experienced as a fan, you know, as a young kid. Like, we did it. We made it. It was just that moment. It was almost like a quiet, serene.
Sure.
It's here.
You were in it.
Yeah, we were in it.
You were in the eye of the hurricane there too.
Yeah.
It's all happening around you. It's funny you mentioned seeing the blood. I don't think people realize that all wrestlers, for the most part, are psychopaths, and all wrestlers, for the most part, like a little blood from time to time. The first time, are you familiar with a wrestler named Daivari?
Yes.
Okay, the wrestler named Daivari, who's also a producer for us.
Yes.
Really jacked, by the way. Yeah.
Major jack.
Man, what's going on, you know?
He's got it figured out, man, because he seems so chilled out all the time, and he's just like, just jacked and looks great all the time.
I think on some of the run-ins, he's trying to get that jacket off.
Yeah.
Just for people to see, like, look at me.
Puts a little tighter shirt on those
Yeah,
nights.
a little, yeah.
Yeah, I know that deal.
He first match I had at WWE was on my birthday on a live event. This is before a TV debut. And he was very good as a dancing partner goes, and would become great, especially when I needed him. And once TV started for me, he was one of the only guys who wanted to help.
Oh, wow.
He, though, that first night, maybe not so helpful. He shot me off, and I made the mistake of, he said, as he shot me off, so he's shooting me towards the ropes is what I mean. He said, blah, 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 blah. And that means if you didn't hear it, don't keep running.
Okay.
Hang on to the ropes. Don't just run in. I didn't hear what he said, which I believe what he said is back elbow, because I ran right into his back elbow. And I had a full-blown Harry Potter-sized scar, flap of skin, blood everywhere. And this is my first live event with WWE on the main roster.
Oh, wow.
And I remember looking down, same way you were, looking down and thinking, it's cool. But then realizing as I pulled my head up and I saw it squirt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not cool. And Mike Chioda is like, we got to go home. And this is my first, I'm like, what? My yellow boots were hand-me-down boots from my dad. And oh my gosh, but it was that moment. Wrestlers are gluttons for that punishment. Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You're pretty not psycho. Went to school, lived a life. I'd say we like to really credit and throw praise up to the family men.
Thank you.
Are a all-time family man.
Thank you.
Those kids have been in the front row. Yeah, wifey always there. You're just doing it all.
They tag along, man. They love it. They're part of the whole story. You know, that's all my kids have ever known me as. You know, I was already on the main roster by the time I had my first kid. Yeah. So it's cool in a sense that they don't look at it as that big of a deal, I guess, as some kids might. You know, if their dad were a WWE wrestler, to them, you know, they could take it or leave it some nights. They don't watch at home. They love going to the shows, but they're not obsessed with it. They never really talk to me about WWE. It's just I'm dad, you know, and I like it that way at home. But they're my life, man. That's it.
How long have you and your wife been married?
We've been married 12 years.
Yeah.
And we've been together over 20. We've been together since we were she was a sophomore in high school. I was a junior.
High school sweethearts.
High school sweethearts.
I think it might be a first time on the show.
Yeah.
High school sweethearts. That's big. What's the secret to that success?
It's a good question. Communication.
Yeah.
I think it's just honest and open communication.
This podcast has gone further than I thought it was going to.
We were just
deep, talking
man.
wrestling,
we're
and it got
deep.
We should have beat around the bush a little bit. You know? Now I'm asking like, oh, we're deep in this. In that Chaos theory again, provided by our friends Wheatley American Vodka, who we love.
Yeah.
As far as shooter goes, when we say shooter, we're talking you have amateur wrestling skills, folk style, Greco-Roman, freestyle. Did you have a preference of the three?
Greco-Roman, 100%.
Really?
Oh yes. From
Why?
Day one. I didn't start Greco-Roman. That was the last one I started, interestingly enough. It was like 5th grade, but I just got the hips for it, man. I had the hips from day one. I was always a upper body guy. You need your hips to throw opponents for people that don't know.
Yeah.
And I had them. I just had that inkling to throw people, and my dad saw it too in me, and we ran with it. That's all. I fell in love, and that's all I ever wanted to do from there.
I feel like as I was leaving the hotel today, Penn State was getting ready to be, wrestling was getting ready to be on TV.
Sure.
And I felt like I was going to ask you if there's something you could tell a kid, because I was not in a state where it was hyper competitive. It wasn't the most, Georgia is a baseball state,
sure,
if anything. And amateur wrestling needed funding. We didn't have a lot of, we had good athletes maybe, but skill. And I remember, I think I told you I went to a Ken Chertow gold medal camp, and he called all the other states to crab walk across the mat, and he hadn't called mine because he didn't know anyone from Georgia was there.
Wow.
Like,
you never told me that.
He called Georgia, and it was just me, and it was awkward because I had to go all the way and come back. I'm like, I'm the only one. I went by myself because that was the only way. I thought I gotta get better at this in case I want to pursue it beyond, on a collegiate level. That was my phone, by the way. Did you hear that? That was my phone. Points off. This guy named Matt Brickley. Yeah, he's actually an amateur wrestling guy. The ears are burning. The ears are burning. This is the head coach at my old high school. And so he was not my coach, new coach. And he brought good old Midwest good old every other place besides the South.
Yeah.
He brought that amateur wrestling energy. His kids wrestle. Here's my question for you. What would you point a kid at to watch from an amateur wrestling standpoint? What would you say is something they could watch to get them into it? Because pro wrestling, if you've ever seen the South Park episode, is not gonna, if they're watching pro wrestling, they might have a misunderstanding of what it is that, you know, Greco, freestyle, folk style, whatever it may be. What's something that can get them in to amateur wrestling?
Man, have you seen Vision Quest?
Of course,
like,
I've seen Vision Quest.
I showed my son Vision Quest this year, and like he loved it. Okay, and I was very hesitant because there's like he's only 6, and there's a scene or two in there that might be questionable for a kid of that age, but it hit hard for him.
Yeah,
like, it's just enough to understand the sport and what rewards it can give you.
Madonna is in Vision Quest.
Yes, correct.
Who's seen Vision Quest in this room? You should all see it.
That's a tragedy.
It is.
That's a tragedy.
It's a great sports movie.
It is.
It just happens to be about high school wrestling.
I think to this day, it's still the best amateur wrestling movie ever.
Oh, they've never come close. No, I don't think
it's incredible.
Him going up the steps. Oh my gosh.
Carrying the log.
Weighing in naked.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. Like the confidence of you just weighing in naked, the whole deal. Yeah, it's a good one. I'm telling you. Yeah, that was the whole thing. All right, sports fans, this is the tag team you've been waiting for. Affirm and Fanatics have joined forces. You can grab your fan gear today and pay over time. With Affirm, you get simple monthly payment options, no late fees, no hidden charges, and no surprises. Just flexible plans that fit your budget. Whatever gear helps you be the fan you want to be, like a new jersey, the latest collectible, or a classic throwback, Affirm can help you make it yours with a payment plan that works for you. Because being a fan isn't about spending more, it's about backing your team, your heroes, and your story your way. Visit affirm.com/WWE to get started, or download the Affirm app. It's free on iOS and Android. With Affirm and Fanatics, now every fan can own their moment. Subject to eligibility, terms apply. But anyways, so Vision Quest, that's where we want to send them. That's a great one. Yeah. Is there a match out there?
Yeah.
Or is it watching the NCAAs? Is there something that, I mean, UFC is a great, I love when I find out a guy's got a great pedigree there because I got a sense of where that's going.
I have a match that stands out to me, and it'll be obscure for anyone else, but like there's a Greco-Roman finals match with one of my youth coaches, Brandon Paulson. This was to make the Olympic team in 2004. And it's 2 smaller guys, and they went into overtime, and then a second overtime, and someone had to score a point. And this had never happened where they didn't want to go to criteria, because if they went to criteria, they would just, well, that guy had an extra stalling point, so he wins. But this was to go to the Olympics, so they didn't want to end it that way. So the referee didn't know what to do. You can watch in the match, he kind of throws his hands up, and he just says, start the clock over, start the clock over. And it happens 3 times, and they keep going. They wrestled for like over 30 minutes, something close to, I don't know how long the match was. It was something. And you can see the crowd as he's telling them roll the clock over. Everybody just gets up as a sign of respect and just starts clapping. And, you know, round of applause, standing ovation. And they're both leave the match just bloody and beaten. One guy's heartbroken. They're both crying. They're hugging each other. And it's just a prime example of, you know, everything that wrestling will give you in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always liked the accountability of it.
Sure.
You were either not good, didn't do the work, or you were good.
Yes.
Did do the work. It's funny because my dad never really cared. Again, this is Georgia. We weren't at this competitive level that you were at, but my dad never cared for the dual meets.
Sure.
It was all about the tournaments.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, they're on a team.
Yeah.
But, you know, some are on the team and some are on the team,
yes.
you know. But there was always something about it. You got to become, I did in my case, before things took off for me, I got to become a very good loser.
Yep.
I got to be okay with, shake his hand, run off. Because I'd see kids, you know, when I watched the NCAAs, they'd always run off the mat. And I thought, man, all right, no matter win, lose, that's a thing. So there was an accountability I liked from amateur wrestling that I think nothing else has.
No, it's stuck with me to this day. I think it served me very well in life.
Yeah.
Just like the onus is on you and you alone. And it's really helped me not blame outside sources for anything most of the time in my life. You know, it's like you can usually do something about your situation most times.
Yeah.
And wrestling taught me that. You take accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the truth, you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
But I feel like I try to live the way you're speaking right now.
Yeah.
It sounds so goody two shoes, huh?
It does. It is. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's salt of the earth.
But
it's not what anyone ever wants to hear.
And it's not easy. Yeah. It's like maybe one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
Because you can certainly find someone to blame for everything if you want.
Yeah.
So it takes some integrity, I think.
Speaking of someone to blame, do we say anything about the other? I mean, now the mask is off.
Yes.
I think we can say, but our other, your counterpart your nemesis.
Yeah.
However, we'd like to. Is there anything we'd like to say about him in that moment, or anything as he continues to grow and move down there like wildfire?
Just what a magical thing he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, I took umbrance with him taking this thing that I had created, I had built, but far be it from me to discredit anybody like for taking it to a level that he did, because that is not something that's easily done in this place. Like you could be saddled with something like that and really put on, a boo-boo face or something and say, I hate this.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen a million times. And he did the exact opposite and turned it into absolute gold.
I watched you in many situation, particularly circling the Intercontinental title and this is WrestleMania's past. I feel like you're very good about no boo-boo face. And I'm a big, how they tell you all the old time wrestlers are big on, you don't sell it.
Yeah.
Don't sell anything.
Sure.
I sell everything. You'll know when I'm not happy. You'll know when I'm. You'll know. Try not to in the moment.
Sure.
In the pro, like as a pro, you never want to in the program, but during the day, there's a lot of Hall of Fame boo boo faces.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, trying to think of a real Hall of Fame boo boo face that we can just blast. Here's something that's happened, and everyone in here should know this and is responsible for this as well. Wrestling media has now discovered this podcast. And they like to clickbait it and aggregate it.
Okay.
And I would say to them, it's only going to get worse. It's our podcast. We're going to say what we want. And if I tell a story about a workplace proximity associate or even a friend, I stand by it. And most people are asked, and if not, run it. But it's only going to get worse. So if you guys need to get your news from this, we will do that. There'll be news. Breaking news. I mean, not breaking news, but I am curious because we talked about this and I thought, ooh, he has a unique experience that very few have. You're under the booking tree, the learning tree, and under now the tutelage and guidance of The Undertaker.
Yeah.
And not just in a locker room, hey, here's what you can do, pal. It's a whole nother thing.
Sure.
How has that affected you as a performer, as a wrestler? Talking about commercial, talking about artistic. How has that affected you?
So as far as Undertaker goes, I think he gets the credit for pulling something out of me that a number of people have tried to over the years and just haven't been able to. And for whatever reason, he was. I've thought a great deal about it. Why? And I've always had these coaching figures in my life through amateur wrestling that I've always looked up to as like, you want to please these guys because they're your coaches and you want to make them happy and deliver what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And he was a guy that I think for a long time, I never was giving him what he wanted. And it was frustrating the hell out of me. Like I'm a guy that needs that progress. I need to see progress. And I wasn't getting it with him. It's like, man, I'm not giving him what he needs. And then finally one day he gave us like this speech backstage, and specifically, I remember he said some things right before this like big brawl I had with El Grande.
I remember
ringside.
Another moment that everyone was watching.
He lit a fire under me, and something just clicked, and he just turned me into Greco-Roman wrestler mode for those 3-5 minutes, whatever it was ringside. I lost myself. I was just in the moment like I'd never been. And when I got done with that, and the dust settled and cleared, I was like, I get it. I see what he meant. I see what he's been talking about. And I looked at him and told him that afterwards. I almost wanted to apologize for like not understanding it up to that point, because then it seems so easy.
Yeah.
Once you finally get it and it clicks. But man, yeah, he had a breakthrough for me.
I want to kind of like extrapolate on this, because I'm asking you and I'm asking me. It's almost just, you said it clicked and you got it.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe the secret, this is me saying I think and maybe, the secret to pro wrestling is this is going to sound wild, it's real. And I, a slow learner, didn't understand it fully until I got into what I would say is the upper card, and the battle on screen, the battle backstage, the classic line of they're going to earn it. He's going to earn it. Yeah. I'm going to make him earn it. Starting to borderline just a shoot, which then it wasn't, but it was.
Yes.
And like you said, after it all clicked, it seems like only after.
Yes.
It all. So I don't know. Maybe that's a great discovery for us now, because that, whatever it is, whatever the secret.
Yeah.
And cheers, by the way, to a fellow podcast man, the Undertaker. Cheers to him. Cheers to Taker. Cheers to the dead man. And I golfed on it, of course.
I mean, he basically says, what would you do to this guy if he stole something from you?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Think of that. Go out. He stole your lifeline here.
Yeah.
And he's taking it and claiming it as his own. What would you do to him? And he said that in a much more aggressive and inspirational way, but that's what he got through to me. And I said, let's try it. Man, what a game changer.
That's I think here's what I love about this. Not enough people know what you know, and they don't know it until, and there's moments. I remember Randy telling me one time, I was in Sacramento and I was turning on Rey Mysterio, and that was the beginning of a WrestleMania story, and I was taking his mask off. I remember Randy telling me, in that moment, he's all yours. Just eat. And he's talking about Rey Mysterio. So just eat him up.
Yeah.
And he'll be fine with it. But the way he was describing it and the way it went that night it was treated as if it was just sincere.
Yeah.
Minus a punch to the nose. It was just sincere and real. And I don't know, maybe we should keep this to ourselves. Our knowledge.
Our secret, man. We
figured
it out.
It's our, no. But also then I feel like, especially with this podcast or in general with what we do, you figure something new out.
Yep.
I was just talking about this on the ride here. I learned something.
Found some nugget in there every time. Right?
Yeah, and it's like we were talking about the live events earlier.
Yeah. How
How much we miss them.
Man.
How much we need them, because that's where you learn something. It's not always the table set up on a headlock takeover. It's not that.
No.
It's something different. I want to mention too, because AAA and Undertaker, it's getting a real what I call Favreau Filoni vibe going on. But we have to mention his partner in crime, that being JB, right?
Mr. Borash.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's a special dude, huh?
What a guy, Minnesota guy. Shout out to a fellow Minnesota guy.
Yeah, there we are.
What a pleasure to work with. Just a genius, creatively, kind of inspiring to listen to him talk about ideas that not only he has, but that he's willing and open to collaborate with us on to a degree that I just haven't ever experienced. It's really great. I feel like the whole thing was just a conglomerate effort with all of us, and he's open to everything.
Yeah.
Very open to communication. So just nothing but good things to say about him. He's been a pleasure to work with, man. It's awesome.
You mentioned head coaching, Undertaker being this coach, and you've inspired, coaching figures. Any others you want to bring up? I asked because I was thinking in my mind, I go, who are the coaches that have really guided me? I had a guy named Steve Day, who's a big part of it, and Triple H has become part of it in more recent times. Yeah. There's nothing like a good guide, a good coach. Yeah. Who else is on there for you?
I mean, in terms of life, my first high-level Greco-Roman coach, his name was Ivan Ivanov. He's a Bulgarian, Eastern European, hard man. But he taught me essentially everything I know about shutting up and doing the work, and don't talk back and just grind it out until it's time. Yeah. And he was here trying to make a life for his family, and watching him do that while he was leading all of us just showed me that there's a certain level of work ethic that is required to do something really special in life. And I hadn't seen it yet or reached that level. He taught me that next level. He was awesome. Hard man, but awesome.
Hard man.
Yeah, hard man.
You wouldn't hire an electrician to perform a root canal, would you? Just like I wouldn't hire my tailor to set up the pyrotechnics for my WWE entrance. Hiring the wrong people for the job can be disastrous. That's where Morgan & Morgan comes in. If you're ever injured by the negligence of another, Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm for a reason. Whenever I witness an injury or an accident, I automatically think Morgan & Morgan. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers with over $30 billion recovered for over 500,000 clients. Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. If you are ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. Yes, that's right, free. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Cody or dial pound law. That's FORthepeople.com/Cody or dial pound law and let them know I sent you. This is a paid advertisement. This segment is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people for over 35 years. I ask you today, Chad, as my guest, is there a moment where you have fought like Morgan & Morgan, fought for the people, fought for your family, fought for your friends?
My nephew is epileptic and very heavily involved in Special Olympics. And so recently I was the ambassador for the Special Olympic Games in Minnesota, and helping those athletes and cheering them on and just being there for them has just been not only inspiring, the most rewarding thing I think I've done in years.
What's his name?
Peter.
Cheers
Peter
to Peter.
Maxim.
Cheers to Peter.
Cheers.
Heck yeah. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Cody or dial pound law. You were thinking earlier. I didn't want to rile you up, but because you said so kindly. It's a lesson we find out later is often this was my fault. Yeah. I could have fixed this. I could have done that, and it is very easy to blame some people. But let's blame some people.
Sure.
Let's talk about. I did not encounter Shorty G.
Ooh.
Consider
yourself lucky.
That was gone, done, and dusted. But I did not encounter this as I came back to WWE. Whose fault is Shorty G?
To my knowledge, I'd have to whittle it down to Eric Bischoff.
No way,
Maybe.
Eric.
Maybe I can't say that firmly, but he was the one that delivered me the news. So
yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I liked working with Eric, by the way. Another Minnesota guy.
A different. He is.
Yeah,
he is a Minnesota guy for sure.
But yeah, that was an interesting little run there.
Yeah.
If that's the word for it, I don't know.
Well, in the end, probably Eric just trying to find the thing.
Yeah.
Trying to find, the mouse, we're all in the maze trying to find the cheese, and it's not often the choice we make.
Yeah.
As you were doing it?
Yeah.
Did you feel it could work? Did you feel it could move? Did you feel boxed in immediately?
I felt boxed in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I put on the face of this could work. We can make this work. And I tried. I don't want to pretend like I had.
Oh yeah, you gave it your all.
You know. But I think deep down I knew, man, this might be a killer. This could be the nail in the coffin. I had a very encouraging text from one Luke Harper after the first promo I did when I essentially named myself Shorty G.
Yeah.
That was super encouraging from a guy like that, because that was a low point for sure, referring to myself as that. But he made me feel as good as I could have about it, and I will never forget that. And I mean, it was immediate afterwards. Took a lot of the stress off of me. But that was
So you felt boxed in.
Yeah.
But you're riding off of a moment, and you're riding to your next moment for sure.
Right.
You're riding off a moment right now that could have equally been boxed in.
Sure.
Shout out to Brody, to Harper. Shout out, just lived it, knew it.
Yep.
Also another a quality family man.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, one of the best. I don't know if I've told this story before, but he and I wrestled his last match, and I thought we were gonna have a drink together.
Yeah.
And he handed me a bottle, and I was like, "Are you not gonna have any?" He goes, "I got to get home to the wife and kids."
Yeah.
And I thought,
What a guy.
man, I will have one.
What a guy.
Because the thank you, but that's where you should be.
Yep.
Go and do that. Yeah. So what a guy. Indeed.
I would say there's a few people both in NXT and the main roster when I got to both places that were what I say is like unnecessarily like awesome to me.
Yeah.
And he was one of them on the main roster from the moment I got up.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, we talked about it when we started up. You're a shooter.
Sure.
Maybe
he was just scared.
People
man.
like a shooter. You know what I mean?
You can find some clips of him trying to shoot with me in some battle royals. Yeah, we should dig them up. They're pretty good. He gave it his best shot.
I look forward to the day that I tell people a lot. Finishing the story for me is going to be getting my win back on R-Truth.
Oh.
And I'm hoping there's a battle royal on TV coming up at some point that the crowd is just confused why I've just tried to double leg him. And Ronnie
there's an amateur wrestling match
probably
going
is
on.
like strong as a bull still would probably defend just fine. Yeah. But again, we're talking about breaking news, aggregating news from the pod. That's news. When R-Truth and I encounter each other in the ring, I am going to shoot on him. And it might not work. It might not, but I can't wait any longer. I can't. I just had a birthday. I got to finish
Time's
the story.
running out.
That's
Time's running out.
That guy beat me like 60 times.
Yeah.
And, always had some sort of lesson for me. Shout out to Ronnie, though.
Yeah.
God bless. Now he knows it's coming. now he knows it's coming. We were talking about Shorty G.
Yeah.
Do you do the Topps cards?
Yes.
Topps amazing with the line of cards and the different variants they come out, but there are a lot.
Yes.
And the other day they asked me to get there a little early to sign some Topps cards, and there was a lot of Topps cards, but there was a lot of Stardust cards.
Sure.
And I wrote on the 1 of 1 the lowest point in my life, enjoy,
Wow.
and I
Great.
signed it, and they all giggled, and I thought, no. It was, gang.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad this does something for someone now. This was I felt boxed in. That's why because we're talking about El Grande versus El Grande. Something about what your nemesis is doing. He's refusing.
Yes.
Again, we're talking about at the beginning of the pod. You had the world. It's not the first time you had the world too, because I'm going to bring up another time.
Okay.
You had the whole world watching, right? He's doing that with this.
Yes.
One to look out for. That's one to look out
Dangerous.
for. That's dangerous.
That's dangerous, man.
Stay in AAA.
Yeah. You're good. You got it down there.
You're killing
dude.
it down there. No, he's
You're a lifer.
Yeah, he's one to look out for. I want to talk about because I hope it shouldn't be deceiving, but maybe it's a little deceiving. We talked about that match. There's also a series of American Alpha matches that also had the world was watching.
Yes.
Nothing was like Black and Gold. All of us who were on the main roster or whatever it was couldn't get a bone like that. We're jealous and blah, blah. I was down the street. I was living in Orlando at the time. Tell me about that partnership and tell me about those matches.
There's a term called it's scenius. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but it's like, I love this thing because it's this idea of just a scene or this one quiet place in the world where something's happening and like going on at that moment in time. And I think NXT Black and Gold during 2015 and 16 was like that. It was just this group of people that were so driven and competitive at the same time. It was a team, but we were all fighting with each other at the same time to be the best. And when you have that, it creates just magic. And I think that's what we had with the Revival, Jason and I.
Yeah.
Jason and I were perfect partners. Our mindsets were exactly the same from amateur wrestling. We got along like brothers from day one.
Yeah.
When we got paired with them and we ran with them for like months on end with the Revival, there was a competitive spark there that I have not felt since.
Yeah.
We were really good friends with the guys, but when it came time to do the deed, it was like, nope, we're going to one-up you every single night.
Again, real.
Yeah, it was
Real.
that was as real as
Yeah.
it gets. And it led to some magic. And we were just out to outperform each other. And that was happening throughout the whole roster at that time.
Yeah.
Singles guys, everybody, and the girls. Those were some of my house show matches back then were my favorites. Like we would do live events, even just in Florida in front of 100 people.
The Coconut Loop?
30 minutes on a coconut loop, 2 out of 3 falls, 30 to 40 minutes on a coconut loop just for the love of the game.
I feel like it's because it's you. I know the answer to this, but I'm asking because maybe I'm a bit more of a. Were they into a 2 out of 3 falls match? As a fandom?
Yes.
If you can get them into
Very much
2
so.
out of 3s. So years ago, experimenting on the main roster live events, there was a text-in vote that you could do at intermission for the main event. It was very obvious what you were supposed to pick.
Sure.
The street fight, right? Very obvious. But one time, I don't know if it was Cena or it might have been, somebody decided to stir it up and vote for Glenn Jacobs, Kane. I forget who he was wrestling, and they decided to make it a 2 out of 3 falls match. And I remember as the Big Red Machine was walking past everyone who had texted 100 times at the monitor, walking past to go to Gorilla, him saying, "You guys didn't rib me, you ribbed the audience." And I thought, oh, yeah, we did kind of. I don't know if they're going to be into this 2 out of 3 falls match now. Yeah, but they were into yours.
Yep. I think to your point, you got to have the right players in there for a match like that. But they were into them.
Do you think you could go 60 minutes today? Not 30, 60.
100%.
Do you think an audience would like a 60-minute match?
With the right players.
Yeah.
I'd be the right player for that.
Well, if you're going into a 60-minute match, an Iron Man match, not the half-hour version, 60 minutes, what do you rely on? Do you rely on big variety, fun moments, or do you actually, Brett Sean being an example from a WrestleMania, is it actually bell-to-bell wrestling?
I think for me, it's bell-to-bell wrestling with those moments built in.
What
but it's
bell-to-bell.
We're going, baby.
Stud, man.
I'll do this thing, talk about wrestlers, amateur wrestlers being a psycho, where sometimes for my cardio, I'll pick an Ironman match and I will crank the treadmill to 15 for the incline and just go. And I'll say, it's not over till the match is over. And like, we'll do Brett and Sean or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes it's 60 minutes, whatever it ends up being. But it's like, I love it, dude.
Do you like Brett and Sean?
I love that match.
So do I. And there's a lot of, back to you guys, there's a lot of haters of the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. Who are you? We were waiting. Brett fans had enjoyed Brett. Sean wrestled for the title the year before and didn't win.
Yeah.
Back-to-back Rumbles. If I had to wait an hour plus, my dad literally had to like give me a squeeze.
Yeah.
Because when they went the hour, I thought, what?
Sure.
What the no. And then he's like, we're going to go into sudden death. And then I knew all the old school rules of wrestling because of my family.
Yeah.
So I knew Brett had a reason to be like, no.
Yeah.
What I leave with the title. So all of that moment that I guess was real, which we're really discovering it's just real. All of that was real.
Yeah.
But oh man. Yeah, I'm leaving this podcast with you today, figuring out that the biggest secret to what we do is it's incredibly real.
Can't wait to wrestle you again, man.
Hey,
baby. You better be ready.
Have you heard what I said about you on the podcast about wrestling you?
I don't know.
Okay, so I said, I forget who I said it to, but I said, normally when someone suggests, I'll pick you up, and it's like a DDT. It was like a Northern Lights type positioning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm longer and lankier and a bit awkward as a body type.
Yeah.
But it was the one person, this is what I said, where I didn't question it.
Okay.
Because I knew you had the strength to do it. But if it had been anybody else, I would have been like, the classic.
What a compliment.
Doesn't work for me. You know? But I remember doing it because we wrestled. That night we wrestled, so much was happening. There was a great deal happening in my life.
Yes.
I believe I found out what was going down at WrestleMania earlier that day.
Oh, okay.
And I nonetheless was going to see it through.
Yep.
And I never wanted the audience to lose any faith.
Sure.
So I wasn't going to lose faith in me. But that was such a fun time.
I have such fond memory of that little period because I found out of nowhere. I was like working out in my home gym.
Yeah.
And I got a call and they're like, hey, are you at home right now? And, yeah. SmackDown's in Minneapolis. Like, you want to wrestle Cody? It's like, well, yeah. I think it was that night or like the next day maybe. And then we had a promo seg too, which like I don't ever get that really with, especially a guy at your level. So like to me it was bonus. And then the match itself, I was like, as far as a TV match goes, I was like, I loved that. I felt like it was aggressive, hard hitting, and just what a blast, man.
Well, I mean, TV matches as they go, you bring them up. They don't always hit that way. They
Sure.
don't always. But I can say, I think a big question for me is coming off of what we talked about right at the beginning, because we're not beating around the bush here, not today. Is we talked about what you just did, and El Grande versus El Grande, and having the world watching it, and now seeing you last week. What do you feel is the next mountain you want to climb? And I don't want to. Again, we don't have to break any news, but please feel free. What is the next mountain you want to climb here?
I mean, without being a total cliche, like I think I need to win a singles championship at this point for myself and just for my legacy in order to take the next step. You listed off some of my achievements at the beginning, and they're all tag team stuff, which is great. And they were all, I have fond memories of it all, but where's the singles stuff? I need to convince myself that I am what I have said I am. There's a big part of that for me. There's a conviction there that's like, I'm a big guy about like, if I put something out in the universe, I have to deliver. I think that's something that's been a strength of mine and served me well my whole life, whether it was for amateur championships or just even getting to the WWE, things like that. Like if I say something publicly and make it known, I see to it that it gets done. I don't know how always or how it works out, but I do. This is one that I haven't done yet. I haven't made happen, and I've said it. So it's weighing on me, and I think that's the next step.
Sure, and I mean, the singles championship goes is that you've got the World Championship, the WWE Championship, the United States Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, you being on Raw.
Yes.
I think we're circling the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah. And also to that point, I was reminded just recently that I said on TV once, I swear to God, I'm winning that championship. And I was taught from a young age, you don't swear to God something unless you're going to do it. Yeah. And that one hit me hard. It's like, you swore to God you were going to win that Intercontinental Championship, so I better do it.
Listen, swearing to the man upstairs, definitely, and I fully understand the concept of, it was very helpful for me over the course of my career. I needed to will things into existence.
Yes.
If you told me something couldn't be done, I needed to tell you it could be. I needed to rally those who believed in just confidence. Even if they didn't believe in me, they believed in the confidence. I'm going to tell you that these things on this list are important, but I will say this.
Yes.
As wrestlers, often we have to say things about what we're going to do, knowing we may not do them.
Yes.
And I learned a very valuable lesson from a guy who gets way too much credit on this podcast, so we're not going to say his name. But I learned a very valuable lesson that is part of the job.
Sure.
That is part of the job. And I hated that. But it helps remind us that we're the collaborative effort of what we do. Such and such's belief helps it no matter if I'm up or down. Their belief, it's tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
They say this about this all the time, working the apron.
Yep.
If you don't care about the guy getting beat up, if you don't want that tag, the audience doesn't care. Well, exactly. Sure. So you caring means they care. But you did swear. You swore upwards.
That's a big one for me.
A Minnesota boy, yeah. So you got plenty of time.
Gotta make it happen, man.
I would wager, I'll go ahead and put it out into the ether. Breaking news, I'll put it out into the ether. I think you will capture your singles championship, and I think you'll capture more than one before the end of all this. So now we're both screwed.
Now
we're
you heard it. Now that's in the ether. Now that's out there.
It's out there. It's happening. If you've been sitting on a business idea, Shopify makes it easy to make it happen. Everything you need to start selling is included and ready from day one, including the moment your first customer is ready to pay. Shopify Checkout helps more customers finish their purchases, and when they come back, their details are already saved. One tap, and they're done. Shopify handles the setup and checkout so you can have more time to focus on growing your business and the tools to do it. Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to small businesses just getting started. With Shopify, nothing stands between your idea and a real business. So go make it one. Start your free trial at shopify.com/Cody. That's right. Start your free trial at shopify.com/Cody. Do you want to talk about Otis at all?
Sure.
I don't know. Do you know that my experience with Otis...
I better have a little sip before I talk about this guy.
There you go. I came back And I knew WWE had changed, but also I thought plenty of things were the same. And I remember they didn't even do the long international tours anymore. They were just short. It's like 2 nights on the bus. They were little. They're actually pretty healthy. They were just these little pack show, you know. But I got on the bus and I, wandered to the back, but I didn't go all the way back. I was new. Wandered to the back, and there he was sitting at the little table portion. And he had a full bar. And he had a fan for himself.
Oh, yes.
So he had a fan and he had a full bar. And I thought, this guy is, this is it.
Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah, he's bringing it back,
This is wrestling, baby. But then I looked on the sheet and I saw we were only on that bus one night. And it was only going like an hour and a half.
Yes.
So none of it, like, I don't think any of it got consumed.
Yes.
It was wild, but also about Big O. I feel bad. He gets going in a way that's almost Cajun.
Yeah.
He gets going in a way that he says stuff to me all the time.
I don't understand
and
a
I
word.
have no clue. And I always am like, yeah, man.
So fortunately,
Yeah,
I speak Otis. I've known the guy for almost 20 years. He used to wrestle my younger brother in amateur wrestling. So I would coach against him. Anyway, I speak Otis. And I know when other people don't. And I learned this from dealing with my parents when he would talk to them. So I'm looking at my dad as he's telling my dad stories and stuff. And I'm like, my dad has no clue what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Not a single word. Not only does he not know what he's talking about, he can't understand half of what he's saying. So I taught my dad just to do the thing, just like what you said. Mm-hmm. And if there's something relevant or something important that he is trying to communicate, I will get that across to you. And so I dealt with that being his tag partner for a long time, just teaching guys, if any of this is relevant, I'll make sure you know. But for now, enjoy the guy because he's the man.
What an athlete, too.
Just so explosive.
What an
scary
athlete.
strong.
Yeah.
I took a mitt from him in the Royal Rumble like 2 years ago that I swear I still feel in my jaw or my back, like left side of my molars, because it's just unbelievable. The weight behind that thing.
I love how you said mitt.
Yeah, that's what they are, man.
Yeah, they're mitts.
Mitts.
I heard someone describe John Candy's hands as mitts.
There you go.
And Chris Farley, I also heard the same. They're mitts, and they had the nimbleness
Checks
that
out.
you didn't see was there. You know, there was a quickness and athleticism that was there. You know,
He's like one of those guys that he wouldn't harm a fly, but if he ever got unhinged and went off, everybody's in trouble.
how do we get him unhinged? Yeah,
I don't.
You've
I don't
got
want
the
to.
secret to that. You don't want to.
I think I do have the secret, but I don't want to.
get him unhinged.
I don't want to.
Stir it up a little bit.
We're done
you know?
for in that case, man. He's
He's definitely a special athlete.
a sweetheart, man.
Yeah.
The truest of friends.
Will you, as far as we talked about JB and we talked about the Undertaker, and we've talked about these different moments where you've had the attention of the audience in terms of whether it was at NXT and then obviously what you've been doing recently. Who you're talking about these Iron Man matches that you're watching and putting it on.
Yeah.
Who's someone, because you're a wrestler's wrestler, who's someone you're watching right now as far as that you're picking things up from?
I find myself going back to some of my tape trading heroes when I was a younger kid.
Oh, yeah.
So lately I've been watching.
Do you classify yourself, by the way, as a tape trader?
For sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Big
Yeah,
time.
a lot of people are fake nerd girls on the tape trader. They say they were, but
I mean, if I was one of the fakes, I wouldn't know it because I had to.
You had the
my
tapes.
wall was full of them.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. I
Okay.
obsessed about it.
Yeah.
I made my own labels for like everything, and then would ship. It's big time. So Kabashi, right now I go back and watch a lot of him. Liger, these guys that just inspired me because of their uniqueness. Like Kabashi's facials and the way he would get across the emotion of like pain and anguish, but then come out of it.
Yeah.
And Liger's just athletically his style, and it was just different to me. That stood out. And there was a lot of that going on in WCW too at the time, but this was like to me next level.
You could drop right into WCW during that period, and you would have.
There's some guys.
You would
there
have,
that
you
were
would have
just
had the time of your life.
Dean. Oh my gosh, some of those guys. Yeah, but I'll go back and watch that stuff, and I'll go back and watch, even guys like Stan Hansen, just because of some of that realism stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
When you watch a guy like that make an entrance in Japan, and he looks like the people are scared of him, you know, as he's coming through the crowd.
Also, again, Israel.
Yeah.
I need them to know I'm dangerous.
Yeah.
So I'm swinging the bull rope, and if you get out of the way, you
Yeah.
get out of the way. Otherwise, I got you. You know, he needed them to know.
I love it, man. I'm watching stuff that makes me feel something now.
Yeah.
You know?
You like Liger, and
Yeah.
I grew up, I loved Liger growing up. What a unique, again, could have fit anywhere, anytime. Every part of that was successful. Whoever came up with the presentation of it, to the fact that what he was doing, but also he was a bigger light heavyweight, so he could fit into anything.
He's what made me think, like, I had a couple friends in amateur wrestling that we started wearing warm-up clothes that we called thick clothes, because Liger had that thick build that I thought was so cool. He was short, stocky, but he moved like a junior, you know. The shooting star press, like, with a tuck that nobody else had. Just every little thing he did was.
I like how you
something
said
to it.
junior.
Yeah.
It's funny that you didn't, because your experience in wrestling, pro wrestling, is all WWE.
Sure.
It's funny you didn't see all, like, you know, the juniors and stuff as far as in Japan and all that, but just knowing junior. I'll tell you some crazy thing, because you mentioned Kobashi.
Yeah.
Right? I obviously know, I feel like I know my wrestling.
Yeah.
I love it, and I made a mistake the other night that I'm not going to forgive myself for.
Okay.
One of our peers, I won't say which, does this move where he runs you to the ropes, hits you with a knee, runs you to the other ropes, hits you with a knee, then pulls you to the center, and he gives you like this big chop across your chest. The running to the ropes knee part, do you remember a wrestler named Val Venus?
Yes.
Okay, so I remembered that he did that.
Okay.
So when this person mentioned it, I said, oh yeah, the Val Venus. And he goes, no, Kobashi. And I can never go back in time and correct.
What have I done?
Exactly. So I've limited my spectrum and scope of the entertainment to that attitude era of WWE. But yeah, I'll never.
Good choice. Fair choice.
I will never. It was what I thought. And I actually liked the knee, move them along the knee. And that's how I teach kids, Nightmare Factory, how to run the ropes, is going with them.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, move them
those
the four
drills.
steps. Yeah. Kabashi's a special one.
Yeah.
There's a. I don't know if I mentioned this on the show before, and it's maybe something you've seen, but I would always get irritated when you hear people talk about, you know, in Japan they're not selling.
Yeah.
And I'd say they are very much selling.
Sure.
They're selling that they're not hurt.
Yes.
You know, it's like when you go out and you get drunk, you don't pretend to be more drunk.
Right.
You're pretending to be sober. Like, I'm okay. I'm good. You know, like you walk straight, you pretend to be sober.
Yes.
That's very much the case over there, is I'm not hurt. And then you see it finally set in.
When the big one happens and you see it, to me, it becomes all that much more real.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's screwed. Like, you just saw it.
And I think to tell those stories, you need a little more time.
For sure.
Which is funny, because when you come over and you have a more American style, it's a little bit of indie, like right away, grabbing what hurts and moving to that. And then the time is more at a premium. But nothing like when you have a good amount of time. My gosh. Oof, man. I'm so glad you came on the podcast.
Thank you, Cody.
I'm so glad you're here. I want to ask you, we talked about Shorty G. This is going to be a different G. You have a very unique rivalry on record with who I call Big G, with Gunther.
Yes, sir.
He's been on the pod before, retired, the greatest of all time, John Cena. All of that, talking about singles titles, talking about your next step, all of that looked like it was heading towards you becoming Intercontinental Champion or competing again at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. It seems, and I don't want to speculate,
Please.
a bit of a swerve in all of that, but you again, still standing.
Still standing.
Elton John style, still standing. Just looked at it as an opportunity and not woe is me, which we got a lot of that, by the way.
Sure.
Yeah, here I am, breaking news. There's a lot of woe is me. You know what I mean? Like,
Sick
come
of
on.
it.
Yeah,
Sick of
guys, this is the greatest job on earth.
Figure it
Thank
out.
you. Yes. Yes. But your mindset during that period, I'm curious what it was.
Super hungry, super motivated, because he was the first guy, I think, kind of at that level that I had mixed it up with for any length of a program, you know, like multiple matches. And we had some chemistry, man, me and him, and still do. Like, we did it on live events. We did it, and it was great. One of my favorite opponents. So I wanted to go all in on that. I made some of these vignettes on my own.
Oh, I remember.
And I was doing everything I could.
Yeah.
And it didn't pan out. Now, would I say, am I surprised that it didn't? No, I don't know that was ever the plan. I was still in a mode then where I was just trying to do whatever I could.
Yeah.
I didn't have anyone telling me, here's the plans, here's what's going to be in the pipeline for you, nothing. I was just doing what I could. And I think I took it as far as it was going to be taken at that time. And I accepted that. Frustrated, yeah. But it was one of those moments that was clear to me, you don't control everything here. You can't just work your way into success. Like you can work, it's not like amateur wrestling where the harder you work, you're going to see the results.
Yes.
It doesn't exist like that.
Nope.
It's not that kind of place. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I had to come to terms with that. And I have now. That doesn't change the work ethic part of it. It's still in there. Otherwise I'd be ashamed on a daily basis. But it was eye-opening. And so it served me going forward because now I'm doing the same thing. The El Grande Americano stuff, again, like I said, with my nemesis, he could have taken that and done what a million people would have done and said, oh, I hate this. I don't want to do this. I could have done the same.
Yeah.
I loved doing that. It was so fun. From the moment I put the mask on, it's like, this is something totally new. And that far into my career, being able to experience like new things in a whole new wave of like being a luchador, like that I had never even considered.
Yeah.
It was magic. It's like I was freed by that. I told people I was like dancing on my entrances, which I don't ever dance. And like just having the mask itself on it just freed me. And so it was just a great experience. And like, if you look at everything as potential for growth, potential for success, that there's something in there you can take, then the sky's the limit. You just you have to have those glasses on when you're looking at stuff like that.
You mentioned that you were doing these on your own, and you were trying to create something. One of the things I see a lot with younger wrestlers, and when I was a younger wrestler, is doing it once, trying to do something for themselves, and then when the results aren't there, never doing it again.
Sure.
And I think you'd be the type that say you know now exactly where you're going. Say you have more information than you ever did. Say you know you would still do it.
So that's insane that you just said that, because I was talking to my friend this morning, Cole, that helps me with these things, and we've got a whole plan for one now, regardless of where everything goes. Yeah. I can't stop. It's like I take this stuff home with me, for better or for worse. Yeah. I take it home with me, and I have for 13 years.
You're obsessed, man.
That's all I do.
Dude, you're addicted, dude. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. It's not unhealthy at all, guys. We're into this. We like this gig. But no, it means you love it.
Yeah.
I think a lesson that I learned one time, before Stardust, I was on, I think it was Raw at the time, it might have been SmackDown, but I wrote like 6 guys, all peers of mine, no heat. I wrote them on a sheet of paper, and I wrote something next to them that they had better than I did. Yeah. And it was silly stuff. I remember for like Dolph Ziggler, it was abs. Oh. It was like silly stuff, but it was, hey, I have to cover this spread. Yep. And then I can get ahead of them. And it wasn't that I put that away. It wasn't until my lesson for me was until I started competing with me. Yes. That I found any type of bone, any type of, okay, now we're going, because that's a big mistake. Is, well, such and such doesn't care as much, or such and such is late all the time, or such and such. That's never going to help you.
Welcome to a life of misery.
Right? 100%.
That's screwed.
It's never going to help you. It's good to go through early, I think, but after a minute, don't worry. Yeah. They're going to get what they're going to get, and you, if you really think of it, are going to get what you want. If you actually put in the time and effort. I had that situation with multiple tag partners. Yes. Every tag partner was always better than me. Yeah. And I was told they were better than me. One, I was told, don't bring him down. Wow. Flat out, So for me, it became, I got to compete with these guys. And I remember the moment, I don't want to use the word surpassed and be dramatic. Yes. But the moment I moved past them creatively, I wasn't stoked. Yeah. I didn't think like, got him. I remember feeling like, oh, that's kind of sucks.
It never really delivers.
It didn't
right?
deliver. It
No,
wasn't a feeling like, ha ha. You know, it was more of a, well, I hope he works hard. I hope he gets something too. You know.
But if you have that same relationship, but to yourself, and you prove yourself wrong, if you say that I'm better than what I thought, that does deliver every time. If you exceed your expectations, meet them and exceed them, every time that delivers.
Yeah.
In a way that the vice versa just couldn't. It's very true.
We got deep here today.
Man.
We got deep. We could have just surfaced.
We could stayed deep.
We could have just surface leveled it, you know. Buried Bischoff.
Yeah.
You know. We should get him on, by the way. We got to get his defense for all this. Yeah.
Someday.
Maybe. Yeah. You know, hey, breaking news. Who knows? Chaos Theory, a classic American mule brought to us by our friends at Wheatley American Vodka. And we always like to do the American Dream Team. I consider myself and Wheatley the Dream Team. I like to ask my guests, what is your dream team? And lately we just overly qualify. I have to start right in on, there is no wrong dream team. There is no right dream team. You pick 100 people or you pick 4 people.
It's just for life.
This is I like to think this is your WWE specific dream team, which often in your case, as we found out, you're addicted.
Yeah.
You've got the sickness, you got the fever. So who is going into this with you? Who's with you?
Otis.
I knew it.
I mean, no question. Jason Jordan.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Finn Balor.
All right.
Gotta have him.
We love Finn.
I mean,
we love Finn.
He brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, he's incredibly smart. Yeah. One of my favorite people to sit down and talk to.
He'd be our intelligence guy.
Yeah.
And Bailey.
Really?
Yeah. Have her in there.
Tell me why. Not that we need a why. She's phenomenal.
Yeah. She's obsessed at the same level. Yeah. She has that same mindset. She's from the same NXT era as me. That competitive. She gets it. Coffee lover like me.
Coffee lover.
Share a lot of hobbies.
So we've said obsessed. We've said the sickness. Yeah. I often refer to it as the fever. Here is something that can help you with the fever.
Okay.
Because I have it. Please know, and I've sat there with our boss one time.
Yeah.
Please know that you have done incredible things, and you will do incredible things, but you've already done incredible things. Wow. I am just telling you that as your peer and someone who loves wrestling. It ain't easy to get their attention. It's definitely not easy to get ours, sure. Right? Or this room. This all we do is wrestling all the time. You've done that multiple times in your career. And what that tells me, and this is what I tell anyone who goes ups and downs, it's wins and losses, highs and lows. If you did it once, you can do it again. It's, hey, I hate using him as an example, but The Miz is the greatest example. Anytime somebody sits with me and tells me, oh, I don't think Miz is a good wrestler, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Miz, because he's done it, right? And it's all different types of it's fun, variety, entertainment. It's the wrestling. If you can do it, and you did it once, you can do it again, and you have done it multiple times.
Thank you.
You mentioned your hobbies too. I'm gonna throw this out there at the last minute.
Yeah.
Do you remember your photo contest you did with Sammy overseas?
One of the fondest memories I have. Talk about live events being awesome.
I got to tell you my version of this.
Okay.
So, you and Sammy decided to take a photo overseas on a tour, and at the end, all the photos were going to be put up, right?
Yes.
It was other
gallery.
Gallery was going to be put up, and there was going to be a vote amongst the roster.
Yes. On
who took the best photo. There were no rules, right? It could be a professional camera or what.
There was no rules whatsoever. Yeah. The only rule was we had to take photos of the same objects. Xavier Woods was also in this,
and Xavier Woods was in this as well. So this photo competition exists. And I don't even like leaving the hotel. So this was the most I saw of these beautiful places was your photos on the gallery day. Here's what I always liked about this, and I don't mind putting this out there for the universe now, and I'm sure he doesn't mind either. Or maybe he does. You didn't win.
A lot to say about that. But yes, I didn't win.
You didn't win. The Sami Zayn won. But the whole thing, to me, seemed like a gift to the boys. You did something that we got to enjoy that wasn't just the matches. It wasn't just the hotels. You did this thing. We got to look at this gallery and go, cool. I have in my duffel bag the winning photo. Where I asked Sammy as a joke to autograph it. The autograph I got is not a joke. It's a full note about how grateful he was that he won and the beauty of the city, and that he hopes I voted for him because it meant a lot to him. And I realized that as I was doing like, hey, sign it for me, autograph for me, now, oh my God, this is real. Like now, again, the lesson today. So I still have it in my bag. He was into that.
Oh.
He was living and breathing that photo competition.
It's exhausting thinking of his joy after he won that contest.
Yeah.
Look, I went to art school, like I said, and I'm not going to big myself up like I'm some big art critic. I know art.
He didn't go to art school.
No. The stuff he hung on the wall was hotel art.
Oh my God.
Okay? It was less than hotel art.
Yeah.
Now I put these gorgeous, leave it at that.
No, we don't have to.
No, that's fine.
Guys.
Congrats to Sammy.
Yeah.
We'll do it again. Once these live events come back overseas, we'll do it again.
For the purposes of this podcast, I'll find the photo because I had it and I looked at that note the other day and thought, why did I get involved?
Oh.
I was just a voter. But yeah, we'll see and maybe put it out there. Art is also in the eye of the beholder. I mean, you went to art school.
And he's Picasso in his own eye.
Our friends at Wheatley Vodka, they have a little jingle. I even met the guy who sang this song. I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm going to ask you to replace a single word.
Wheatley is so good, I drink it neatly. The watch in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley is so good, I drink it neatly.
Wheatley, so good, I drink it neatly. If you were to take the word neatly out of the equation, what is that word for you? Wheatley, so good, I drink it
deeply. I don't know.
To the pod. Oh my gosh, well done, well done.
Is that one been used every time, or
no? You'd be shocked at the ones
that's
that
the first one that came to mind.
Have been used and missed when they were right in front of us. This was wonderful. Thank you for finally coming on the pod. I hope the things you said here, I hope we will it into existence.
Thank you.
I think it'll happen. Thank you. Again, it was inspiring, and I look to be inspired more. So thank you, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you want to talk about? Chad Gable.
Thank you, Cody.
Oh.